future of technology, another exciting channeling review or remembering the channeling that has happened some few days ago. And I just before we start, I'm out of screen washer. Just before I start, I want to do a review, a simple review about how am I filming this video. And I'm filming this video with a GoPro camera, which of you I think many times have thought, or sometimes have thought. And the worst thing about this camera is it does not record audio. I need to record it separately on a normal microphone because I bought the special cables for the audio. I bought the special cables for the audio recordings, and both of those cables do not work for the GoPro, so that's why I record on another microphone. So nearly did a crash right there. But anyway, about the future. I just a few years ago we did the channeling where we channeled a human from the future, and somehow the people which were the audience, somehow I cannot ask questions myself in the channeling purpose, or like guide them, hey, ask this, or please answer my question. And it's somehow nearly impossible because when you enter the channeling state, somehow it locks everything down. It's like all the things you can do is just put a little trigger that you want to finish. It's nearly finished. Like you're locked inside. Like you don't have the mind ability to do something. Maybe something, I don't know. I've never been in coma, so maybe something like I don't know. Just you cannot do anything. So the only thing that is important is the people in the audience or the people asking those questions. So whether are they guiding those questions? And sometimes when I'm in the channeling state, I'm like, no, please ask this. Just you should ask a different question. You should have just like I cannot do anything. So anyway. The channeling which we did about the future channeling, where we channeled a person from the future human, and it's different things that you channel beings or channel on something like a human. It's completely different information. It's completely different. Everything is completely different, and we all have a completely different perspective on subject. So it doesn't bother. I just remember another thing which I wanted to share, but just moments after. So anyway. So this human, it was maybe 3 years ago, 2 years ago somehow, between these years, he was telling that basically what you will witness is a struggle for a fight for like strong major governmental structures, like, or banking structures or something like this. I don't understand, but the structures with power, they will start to struggle for their power, or for the power. It's like something will start to collapse for them, and they will start to fight and struggle for this. And many people started to think, oh, we will have a war, and they said, no, we will not have a war. It's like something related to the way of they relate power. And then on year 2022 or something, you have changes in your. I did this channeling. It's a time travel 2148. You can listen to it, so I don't have to go in details. But the thing is, what I want to say is that it's just like 2 or 3 or 4 years have passed, and everything what he have said starting to be, to my perspective, visual. First was the electric cars, that there will be more and more and more and more, and they will be replaced, and there will be countries in Europe that will forbid fuel type cars in cities, and that's what's happening going on. They said in 2022 there will be 23 there will be also countries and cities where petrol cars are forbidden to drive. and in 2025 more and more countries will convert to this type of a situation, and there will be new and more advanced these solar mobiles, not the solar mobile, electric mobile cars. And that's what's going on. And I was like shocked. And then I went to Norway, which is the largest fuel. Norway has the fuel oil rigs and something. And they even allow electric cars to be in the city, and it's like amazing. It's like wow, and they even give them some kind of benefits. Yeah, we are Norway. We are the richest oil country in the world, and so on. Yeah, start using electric cars. And it's like, what's going on? This should be like use more. Now we have a diesel refrigerator. Now we have a diesel house heating, and so on and so on. No, use solar power, wind power, and electric cars now. It's like, when I was in the city it was Bergen, Norway. I was like surprised. So many electric cars here. It's like wow, and they're faster. They're more. They have more performance. They're quieter. I believe they are less weight, but I'm not sure about this because less weight because they don't have a heavy metal engine, but they do have an engine and a battery. So I don't know. Maybe they weigh the same or maybe heavier. Doesn't matter actually, but they nearly do not break. You don't need to change oil. You don't need to change brake pads, or maybe you have to. I don't know, because normally they should brake with the engine and use it as a generator back. They don't have to have this servants maintenance as like cylinders, valves, engine chains that break down. They don't have it. They only have a wiring and a simple electric motor that some say can last for up to 400 years if you use it normally. So because a magnet lasts 400 years, but maybe if a bearing runs out, you just change the bearing. It doesn't matter. You don't have many of these parts that wear out quickly. You don't have that many. So this is a huge benefit. And now we get to the latest channeling, which happened maybe a week ago or something. It was for me. It was also a little mind-blowing because we were channeling Enrico. That was when we were talking with this. It was a guy from the year of 2148, and he was like an ordinary guy. He was doing something. Well, sensing from his attitude, he liked to pick up girls, how they say. He liked to chat with girls, flirt with girls or something, because there were like people in the room, girls also, and he was like, why are you so worried? He was like, and understood he has a quite active life. Anyway, and Enrico was like, people in the room are asking, can you share some biggest happenings that will happen in Latvia in the next 1 or 3 years? And he was like, biggest thing that will happen in Latvia. And he's like, what I see is he's like searching, and he's searching, and he's like, in the soon you will have they are building 2 biggest skyscrapers in Latvia, Riga, and they're not long high. They're like 30 or 30 floor high or something. They said that soon these skyscrapers will be finished, and they're the largest skyscrapers in Latvia. My father started to laugh. Oh yeah, but what you ask is what you get back. And he said, anything else? And he said, well, yeah, soon you will have the opening of the Latvian Sing and Dance Festival this summer, I believe, or so. And well, I didn't know that. I thought the Summer Singing Dance Festival, which is a huge festival, was every year, but it turns out it's every 5 years. And he said that on the one road, which is next to Daugava River, there will be full of people in the Latvian national clothes. So I was like, whoa, I'm seeing this channeling and I have no clue what's going on. But then I realized that, hey, but it's going to be this summer. It's like, wow, it's for me, I didn't know that it was accurate. But then again, I think most of Latvia already knew that, so there's actually no point of these two informations. But again, what you're asking is that you get back two biggest happenings in Latvia in the next 1 or 3 years. So then the story was talking about something different, and he said that, well, basically, next things or the topics that related that were asked next were. Anyway, I don't remember the questions, but what they were talking about was that they something they were asked about governmental structures, like end of some kind of a money system or something like this. I don't remember, but anyway, the topic related that was going on was next that that we will have in 2025 powerful and massive technological breakout. And it's like something yet we think, oh yeah, we have such a high technologies right now. We have like a camera, internet, and so on, mobile phones, smartphones. It's like that's like already something like for us is like high level according to like past 20 years or so. But according to the Enrico channeling, it's just the beginning of technological breakouts, like breakups, like going up, and another car just like it passed us twice, a light green car. So what they were saying next was that we will have these technological breakouts and the society will start rebuilding its structures. That was the same as the future guy was telling, but Enrico was talking about technology a little more, that we will basically in the next 3 years or so, or 5, 7 years from now, from the date which this video is posted, we will have less and less service working force. And by service I mean cashiers, drivers, everything that is in service area, everything that does something to service others, like cashiers, like drivers, like something in the production area, like something like housekeepers, like everything that is in the service. For example, when you go in a hotel, you talk with lady, she gives you something, you go in your room and so on. Anything of a service. And that's what I thought, maybe you're giving me something exactly. He said, well, it's not exactly, it's like everything of service areas, everything of service. Like also in they shared an example how this technology will affect and how the effect will happen. For example, now we have cinemas where we watch Hollywood military advertisements, and when we want to watch these Hollywood Pentagon-sponsored military advertisement movies, we go to the cinema. Well, that's the mainstream movies. I don't classify others, but anyway, when we go to this Hollywood military advertisement 2 hour, when you go to this 2 hour military advertisement films, we can buy a popcorn, we can buy cola, which basically dumps our mind and puts in like a trance state, and we pay for this using like dollars, like the same dollars that make these movies. Okay, there's a fox on the road. Okay, she went back, and but now we will have a technological advancement that how it will happen. As I understood is that we have a mobile phone, and this mobile phone works as a payment service also. So basically, you are sitting in your car, you're like, okay, let's go to this movie, buy a ticket, and that's it. You have a ticket already. You don't go to a bank. You don't go to a cashier and pay. You don't use a shopping cart. You have already the tickets bought. And they maybe show you a QR code or something. And when you go to the cinema, there is no cashiers. There is no nothing. Maybe you also buy popcorn with this mobile phone. There's no nothing. You just put this QR code there. You have your popcorn box. You have your cola. And you enter the cinema. And that's it. you have it. You just enter. You don't have like. There's no service area there. There are no people servicing you, and what Enrico was telling a lot more about this. Also, trams and public transports. They only have these. Payment structures through this smartphone, and the story goes on. It's just the beginning, and I also understood. But I'm like driving now, and I see the public transports, like trams, for example. And I was like, why do you need a driver for a tram? I just don't understand it. Why do you need a driver? What do you need to control this tram? It's like a computerized mechanism. It can easily orient it. It can read red lights, because all the red lights, these color lights, stand on the same direction. The tram stops at the same direction where this red lights. You can put a camera, read this area, just a small pixel area from here, and detect whether it's green, red, or yellow. If you cannot do that, then just and I believe they're all the normal city control mechanisms are online regulated. So basically, a tram can connect to the traffic light grid and just read the grids and drive. And in bonus, you can add sensors to it, like distance sensors, because if somebody goes in front, you just brake down like normal cars right now have. It's like basically you don't need a driver anymore. Maybe you can have a driver that, like, for example, we're testing this equipment and we're on a standby for a while, or maybe 50% off our working time. We can sit and just watch whether the tram is doing something or no, just like from now. And then I was thinking, but basically you can also build a hospital. I was like thinking, not like a hospital, I was thinking, how is it called, a hotel. I was like thinking, but basically I was thinking for myself, how can I use this idea as a future technologies? And I was like thinking, well, basically normally how I can use it, I need a place where I can host seminars. But for only myself, it's quite expensive. I don't want to spend like €1,000 a month on place where I need to constantly make seminars, because I want to take off free, and in summer nobody's there and I still need to pay and so on. But the idea, I could rent a place, I don't know, a place where I can store seminars. And I can make online a calendar where people can see free dates and choose these free dates and like pay for an hour, like 10 to 20 euros an hour. And the system accepts their time where they want to take this seminar, and gives them a password for the door, which is randomly generated every time somebody books out a date. And when he goes to this place, he puts in the code, and the doors open. And when it's like 3 hours later, the doors close. And for example, the period of time he has booked the place. So basically, nobody needs to be there. Nobody needs to take care of it. Only maybe you need somebody to clean up the place after, or just tell them to clean up the place, and so on. So basically, this is how you can reduce the service field quite a lot more and more places. And then I was talking about also about cash registers, the cash machines that the people at the store use. And Enrico said we cannot quite understand how does this work, but how we see it is that your institution that collects taxes somehow get access to your mobile phone, and they can read all the payments you do, and they make you a mobile integrated amount of tax that you need to pay through the mobile phone. It just automatically calculates. And I was like, okay, this is something which I would like and which I would not like. So it is an interesting thing. And also there are downsides also of this about this governmental money system if it's controlled like this. But anyway, and then I was thinking about the next level of the next level of how can society use this. And basically this was what Enrico was sharing. He said that our country, like Latvia, somehow is very old aged. It's like the evolution in governmental structure is something like 1970, which basically there's no evolution at all. It's going on a slow suicide. Everything is going on a slow suicide in terms of not the people are dying, but in terms of the governmental structure as itself is dying. It's not sufficient. It's not effective anymore. It's aged. And like countries like as governmental structures, like modern countries like Japan, America, and Estonia, as they said, are more developed on integrating new technology methods that we can use to governmental the country or the governmental the world. For example, as they said, that for Latvia to have technological innovations, we need to have like years and years to wait more. Because normally a politician will be, but I'm somehow really dedicated or dependent on the money that I receive out of work, and it's somehow I have my own businesses, I control my own businesses. There is no need to have like something new, because that old engine is still working for me, and there's no benefit for me doing something else, because I don't trust these computers. I don't know what they are, and this is something cosmos, and we have paper, and we need to register everything and so on, then we need to think, and we have to this bureaucracy, as many call. But they compare to Estonia, which are like young people there. They're like, hey, we have a new technology. Maybe we can integrate this in some kind of field. For example, public transport. They have a look. Oh yeah, this could work. This is work really nicely. Yeah, we like technology. We invest and we use it, and it seems to be working. So let's try it. And so it's like a completely different energy. It's like a completely different movement in the future. So how Enrico was telling forward is that on the year of 22, most of the people will see that how these technologies can benefit for reducing slave labor, can be in benefit and can be used. And in the year 2022, people will start building and building up. Not like controlled mechanisms, but also open sourced mechanisms that can be used anywhere, just like I told about the place where I can host seminars. And people have the knowledge, because the new age people, like for example maybe myself, or maybe all the younger people close to my age, around 22 or something, most of them already know how to program. Most of them already know how can technology work. Most of them are so technology connected that it's even more easier for them to build open sourced like systems. Like, for example, as Enrico was telling before, that people will start to see that this technology really works. It's huge benefit of the technology. Hey, why can I myself not build something that is open sourced and something that everybody can use? For example, let's build a money system. Let's build like a bitcoins, like blockchain technology. Nobody can hack it and everybody can use it. Let's build something, for example. And then the idea, as I understood, that small of these technology figures, they said informational public structural systems, which basically means that systems like informational technology, like computers and media and everything that controls how people exchange with information, they start becoming more and more popping up and replacing the old fields of control, like like newspapers, like banking systems, like everything that is old age, like also I believe police systems, like hospital systems. Like nearly every field will be changed. And also imagine if you have for example like a Tesla car has this autopilot cars, for example. Just imagine this, and then a guy says, oh, basically I can build a car right now. I can program a car that works as a taxi, and that car can drive from all around the city. You just step in, you type in where you want to go, you put your mobile to the desk or scan a QR code. Once it's accomplished, the car locks the doors and says, fasten seatbelts. If something goes wrong, maybe press this red button and I will stop instantly. For example, I'm just kidding, and I will take you where you need to go. Just sit back and enjoy the ride. And more people can fit in this car. The dude who programmed this collects the money from bitcoins or whatever the wallet can be at that point. And he's sitting at his home. He's a taxi company driver. He sits at home and he's like, yeah, this car is bringing me income. I will buy 5 more of those. And I just wrote a program and I sit like this, so like everything's going on. And at that point, you also have like the idea that you don't need the money anymore if everything is effective and everything is, you live in peace and harmony. You don't need to have that money anymore because the comfort is already in a high level and so on. So you don't need to have it. So it reduces also the will to be like a man in power or so. But anyway, you cannot compare because many people are willing to have the power. They're just born in a bad place where parents are angry all the time, and they maybe are born with this feeling of lack, and they want to achieve all that they can achieve. So anyway, that's still depends on the society. But anyway, the society will truly change. And now you can, how the Enrico was saying, slowly the technology and blockchain technologies will change everything. Slowly, and also slowly the governmental structure. The government will not be governed by any person at all. They will be governed by a computer system, and they will be governed by humans that use this computer system. Now I know many think about this artificial stuff and so on. Well, anyway, I think if this artificial intelligence is true, that we will start getting it in the year of 2025. So what happened then? And then what happened is what happens later. As Enrico was saying, also you can change the hospital structures. The hospital structures also will be changed. This why I have so many ideas from this channeling now. What you can build for the future, and I'm not sharing them all. It's like privacy. It's not like privacy. It's like I have ideas what I can make for the thing, but for the future, seeing this future stuff. But I always want to make a team that we can build it together. But anyway, what happens next is structures like hospitals. I wanted to do the future channeling, and I started to receive some information prior to the channeling, which I did about the future. But Enrico was telling me also that in future we don't have, but this was prior to this, like a week earlier than this channeling actually was done, that we don't have medicine system. We don't have doctors anymore in the future. What happens is there will be a medical breakout also. There will be, I can tell this story, I remember this story. There will be some guy that just wanted to figure out this, the Japanese scientist who measures the water, and he can read the emotion from the crystallization of the water, and he gets out the images like this. I forgot his name. Sorry. And he did an experiment that he put the same rice in 3 pots with water inside. And he was telling one pot, you're really nice, I love you, to another pot, and he didn't tell anything, and to the third pot, he was telling you're disgusting, you're ugly, or so on. And after a week, you can see the huge, tremendous change of it. Like nearly the one pot was nearly starting to grow roots and flowers inside and so on. The middle pot was just getting old. I don't know how you call it in English. The blue stuff starts to grow out, and the one who was telling you're ugly and so on, he was getting that the water is getting black and the rice is getting black and look disgusting. So this scientist, not the Japanese but another scientist, somehow was a lot thinking about this, and he was thinking, well, maybe the European Union can sponsor me on the experiments reading human energies. And he developed a small equipment with a group of scientists, like they were a small group, like 2 or 3. They developed equipment that reads energy fields, because he already knew that also flowers affect from the energy that you tell to the flowers and so on. It's like a sensor that reads energy fields. It's the energy field that he thought is something that we could actually hear, but because our hearing is adjusted to a different frequencies, that normally a sensor, quite sufficient sensor that we can build, could be sufficient for measuring these energies. And what he came across, he was interviewing, no, he was not interviewing, sorry, the beginning was that he used this sensor, I forgot for what he used it. It is written in a story in Latvian, but it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, so I cannot quite remember. But the idea that was, he made a kitchen, the same kitchen, and he interviewed people who are sad, and he picked up a couple of characteristical persons who are sad, angry, depressed, fearful, and highly excited people, like who are constantly happy about life. He took these persons who have huge contrast of energy, for example, from my perspective, you would say, but he said well, nearly the same. He said emotional contrast, who have different energies, different their resonance. And he put these sensors in the kitchen, and in the kitchen there were some fruits, flowers, and so on. And he just read the energy what's in the room. And interesting thing what happened was that these sensors started to pick up these vibrations from people who are highly excited and happy or smiling all the time. The sensors started to pick up this energy, and they're like, wow, what's going on? Something is going on. And when depressed people started to come in the room, the sensors didn't pick up anything. There's like silence, nothing going on. And he thought, well, now this is something interesting. And what he measured also was that the things like fruit somehow took this energy from the person and were still resonating this energy through longer period of time, even when this person left this room. And he was like, wow, something is actually going on. And he started to develop this equipment, the sensors, and he started to develop this more to do a research. And he was then starting to interview people. He decided to let's upgrade the sensors and start to interview people with these particular energies. And they started to record these energies on a computer, and just measuring these energies, these vibrations that we can not hear or see, but we can pick up with our senses. But the sensors did it, and but he was like a scientist who doesn't accept that energy exists. He was a scientist that accepts that everything needs to be measured, understood, and read from data, not from like mind perspectives, and not like from a spiritual perspectives. And as things went on, he started to realize that the spiritual perspectives like energy and vibration truly exist. And he said resonance. He just chose a different name, resonance, so it doesn't spoil his career, or that many people think he's like some kind of a spiritual hippie or something. And what he came across was stunning results, that people who are depressed and so they have a particular energy. People who are excited have a particular different energy, and this energy can be read also by not asking any question to the person. And he came across also that people who are sick in terms like some kind of illness, the sensors pick up energy resonance pattern that can be translated and noticeable on the perspective of scale. And they picked up this energy and they said, yeah, now we can actually see which people are sick. And they started even to adopting the sensor even more to like pick up which parts of the human are sick, and then they came up. There is a longer story, but then they came up to a discovery that basically a healthy person is a person which, if he starts to receive, it's like a cell-to-cell communication. But normally, how normal people will understand this in simple words is that when you have an emotion, you allow this emotion to express highly. You do not block it, you do not keep it, you do not stop it. You allow it to express widely. This energy takes over all of your body, and you start like, wow, I'm so excited. You don't break it down, you don't stop it, you don't do anything. It just expands. And the how it called the response time of the cells dedicate whether you are a healthy person or an unhealthy person. They measured somehow, if you change emotion, start thinking about something funny, how quick your cells react, how quickly your cells react to this resonance, like cell-to-cell communication. And then they came up to a astonishing discovery that they discovered that a healthy person, and in our world it's really difficult to tell which person is a healthy person, because we don't have this base strong, like noticeable thing which one is a healthy person. But then they came up to a point where they scientifically admitted that a healthy person is a person that has a quick response from cell to cell. And because lack of this quick response, or delay in this quick response in the emotional field or the emotional resonance spectrum, people can have illnesses, they can get iller quicker, they can have weaknesses, they can have depressions, and so on and so on and so on. So it's like 2040 or so on. This was the year. And no, but this discovery was what happened later was far more astounding. That he made his own clinic, a huge hospital. He was sponsored for this hospital, and it was the first future hospital ever built, where nobody actually, there are no doctors there. Everything is built of technology. People like me and you have a notification in the mobile phone. People like me and you have a notification in the mobile phone. Like it's like a year has passed, you have to go to our computerized hospital and just put tests. Like you can go there monthly basis, year basis, and a computer takes your blood samples, or it scans your finger, and by it takes your blood samples. It takes and reads your blood. It scans your blood, the thing what's in your blood, and he says, the program says, hey, you should take more water, you should have more exercise, and you should maybe take some vitamins, for example. And we will notify you on your mobile phone about this when you need to do this. Thank you for visit. And the thing is, the most important thing what I understood from this technology is that people can detect much earlier some illnesses that can happen and occur, and the program can help them to adjust more faster to this. For example, something is wrong in your blood, something is wrong in your heart rate, and so on. We are detecting and having suspicious on this, do this, for example. A next thing is about this technology. People who have some kind of a developing illness, for example, like like a heart disease or something, the program can detect it and can put them on some kind of a quarantine and dense research to do this. Because as myself, I know many people that are afraid to go to hospitals because they are afraid of them. And it's like, it's expensive, it's like, and so on and so on. But this would be not expensive. This would be easy, cheesy, easy done. And because nowadays there are equipments that read your blood, system, and they can just scan out and tell you what's wrong. So anyway, what happens later is that, for example, people who have a specific pattern in blood vessels, they can then be monitored in the database, and if a new person comes up with such a same blood data that the sensor read, they put them to quarantine instantly and have these checks done before some illness develops. So it's basically a super medicine system and they said that doctors are not aware of illnesses, they are not aware of them, they are more aware how you can use technology and how you can follow these principles, what the person needs. And so this was an interesting future point of view. I believe in some places of the world this maybe also already is happening. So talking about hospitals right now, what Enrico was telling was that future we have these we can have these hospitals that are purely wait, I need to wash my window. Purely computer-based hospitals. What it means is that a hospital, groups of people started developing, groups of people like me, you, and everybody else started to develop computer informational system that serves some field of hospital. Then it starts developing the system, and sooner or later it becomes a one major hospital that you can do a particular service, for example, like this, what I just told. But the thing is how it's built on I want to speak a little bit silenter because my voice is out of batteries. And the thing what happens later is that the hospitals are built on a blockchain technology. I don't know whether you're aware of this or not, but it's something like every part is related to every part. And this is something like I drew a little bit earlier, like a diagram or a drawing or a sacred geometry. How, for example, if the universe collapses, it has this seed data, like a string of variables. If you put it in a constant algorithm, it can bring you up like a flower or like a new universe. It expands, and it rebuilds everything just from a seed and from an algorithm, from these two variables. So, for example, what's a blockchain technology? It's you have this variable 1, which is related to a variable before and a variable next. And imagine we have a huge, like a network, like there, and this variable is related to that variable is related to this, and everything is linked together. And you cannot hack it, because if you change one variable, it rebuilds back, because, hey, this is out of line, let's rebuild it back how it should look. And all hospital is built on this, and it's open sourced, and all hospital calculates how much electricity it consumes. The hospital calculates how much patients are in. The hospital calculates and turns off the equipment and lights in the rooms where there's nobody there, heat and everything. The hospital controls everything, completely everything, and it's much cheaper to use this, and it's open sourced, maybe nearly for free for everybody, and nobody controls it, nobody earns on it. Everything is technology developed. So that's quite changing in the future, and people, when they start to see benefits of these technologies, they will start to build their own technology, these informational structures, from smaller to larger, and slowly they will replace the governmental structures. So, talking a little bit further, Enrico said, well, basically we see, as they said, we see one negative perspective and one positive perspective. The negative perspective from your point of view, not from our, but from your point of views, would be that the machines take over the control, and the one who controls these machines, the computers, have nearly all the power over the humanity. Though it relates, because also people can build their own systems, open source systems that nobody is in control except the whole humanity or the persons that use the system. Next thing is that also people will have lots of more free time, and most of the suffering will be ended, or will not exist even. And so this is one point, positive and one negative. But they see a really one positive, truly positive side of these technologies is that people will be dumped from the money society. People will be start dumping this society because there will be people that cannot, for example, the people who will lose the work in the service area, like the area of like cashiers and everything, they will not have job anywhere, or they will have really difficulties to get job, and nearly most of the people will not have jobs. And what people start to do is they start to migrate to different countries, different places of the world, and they start building their free society communities. That still they have the technological advancement like we have today, like we can have the technological background that helps us to live happy in these communities. For example, we have lumber mills, we have boats, we have tractors, we have everything actually we need, solar panels and so on, to sustain our life easily there and happily there. And people will start just move to these cities, and they are off the money society. And basically what you can see is that Enrico said, well, this is a really good stuff, but now the people are moving to the nature finally. And so this is the conclusion of the of the future channeling, which can maybe happen in the next 20 and 30 years in the future. Well, some of these scenarios will definitely fulfill, and even more other scenarios will fulfill. And if you're the scientist who is doing these researches on the medicine field, I hope I read your future, and I hope you start like, wow, this is something amazing. I just read my future. But I remember the logo, I remember the name of the hospital. I don't remember the name, but I remember the logo. It was really close to NASA logo, like this star right here and like this. And I believe it was called some kind of a Raison or something like this hospital. But I've written it down somewhere, and so if it's really necessary, if somebody picks up the logo like this, then I would check the name which I wrote down. It was, but I don't remember. It was close to the word of energy and some kind of interpreted in a different name, or it was close to this resonance, and he gave this name and interpreted it a little bit differently, so it doesn't have like this hippie type of spiritual. So nobody accept him as a hippie type of a spiritual scientist. He's a scientist. He looks at numbers and looks at patterns that constantly repeat, and accept that this is something what the numbers are showing. So anyway, thank you for listening, and I hope it was a lot of information in the 50 minutes that you have watched. I really admire your patience for this, and enjoy your time and have a good day. And one of these future channelings is really something interesting, because then you like to compare what's going on, then you like to see what's going on. And as far as any flood, I have never seen anything of this in channeling. I do have seen that somewhere in the year of 13, there will be a planet that will pass Earth's orbit really closely, that people would see actually this planet. But I have only seen this once, so I'm not accepting it as true. So it's just something that I give, something maybe a small chance can happen like this. But what I saw is that people after this event are like, whoo, and they're like really thinking that most of the people are having this energy of, actually every day we have it's like a gift, and we just went through a cataclysmic event. So basically what I was seeing is that it was a nearby pass. But also Enrico was telling about the future. He was telling at the first half of the seminar, he was telling that, or the channeling session, he was telling that whether we live the path that somebody gives us, or the path that our emotions and energy guides us to, and we live out this reality, or we become self-aware, and then we choose whatever reality we wish. So it still is like, as they say, it's really when you awaken to your true self, you awaken that you are the one that lives out these realities. You're the one that lives out your world, and whatever you wish, whatever you choose, it happens. So it's just a state of awakeness, state of self-realization that guides you to whoever and which scenario you wish to go to. So what was next? That was I guess that's it. Okay, that's it. Enough of talk. Let's fight. I remember how I nearly crashed that car today, and right now I'm driving the same.
Even here, when I'm parking right now,
I'm driving the same.
They could definitely use a sensor that detects whether a place is free or not, and just show a light. Show you where you can drive, that you can see this free spot. So another way of making your life with less sacrifice. No, not sacrifice. Less painful, you would say. No, not how you call this in English. It doesn't matter. Anyway, another idea.